Identifying and developing your unique value proposition is very important in terms of running your business because it's going to basically set you up for your branding identity and who are you in the market. Now, who you are in the market is going to be determined by really a couple of factors. One of those factors is your position. What position are you predominantly occupying in the market? So if you're in your first few years of business, the odds are good that most of your transactions are coming from buyers. And so you're a buyer's agent. At some point, you start developing a little bit deeper in your business and you start taking on listings, start adding a listing component. Now you're a listing agent. Now there's some pretty big difference between the value the buyer's agent brings and the value that a listing agent or a seller's agent brings. Then maybe a little bit more time goes by and you decide that you want to start a team, or maybe you open a brokerage. So now you're a leader. What value are you bringing in the market as a leader? And has your client changed? Of course it's changed. You're no longer going after individual buyers and sellers. You're trying to encourage other real estate professionals to join your team or to become a part of your brokerage. The value that you're offering at these three different places in your career is radically different. We're going to take a little bit of time and explore this and identify what those differences are and how you're going to be able to develop those things to run a better career from end to end, from the beginning of your career all the way through to your final succession plan. So in the business, most of us start out as buyer's agents. So let's start out there. Let's talk about the unique value proposition that you need to identify and bring to the market as a buyer's agent. So a buyer's agent is kind of a unique animal. So let me walk you through what I think some of the dynamics of that are. So you're running a retail operation without a store, and your inventory is basically out of your control because you're not a listing agent. You don't control listings. And it's a really unusual retail space. Well, what are some of the attributes of great buyer's agents that are going to help this buyer deliver value in the market? In order for a client to identify this buyer's agent as someone who can help them. So number one in any store is a service level agreement. You have to be agreeable to have a heart of service and to help people identify their needs and their wants. You have to be an empathetic listener. You have to take great notes, and you have to really understand what these core needs are in order for you to take those steps to be able to help this person identify what's in the market, and it's in alignment with their finances, it's in alignment with their needs and in their wants. So how's a buyer's agent go about that? Well, it's product knowledge. As a buyer's agent, the number one thing that you can do in the market is to be totally aware of the inventory in the market at any given time. You need to understand what are the best 3 or 4 transaction deals or properties that are available in the various price ranges in your market, in your city, and also maybe some of the surrounding cities. So that if you do get into a conversation with someone about, hey, how's the market? What's going on? Well, what is the market? The market is a collection of properties. It's also a collection of psychologies around that. But a buyer's agent understands the product. If you're not in your MLS and studying your multiple listing service for at least a half hour a day, you're probably missing the boat. Because if, as buyer's agent, if you're prospecting and you get into a conversation with someone, it's a cocktail party, dinner party, wherever it is, in the line at Starbucks, and someone says, hey, how's the market? Don't be like a lot of other agents who say, well, things are good. It's never been a better time to buy a house. Is that true? Well, not for everybody. I would much rather if someone said, hey, how's the market? I'd say, you know what, it's great to see you again this morning. I'm here in the coffee line or wherever you are. The market's kind of a mushy topic. So where do you live, right? What areas of the market are you interested in? Because there's a big difference between the north side of the city and the south side of the city, and there's a big difference between homes that are in the affordable range and homes that are move-up homes than homes that are luxury homes. Now, this doesn't mean you spray and overwhelm this poor person with all kinds of additional details, but you need to be prepared to understand what would be a really valuable and important piece of information if someone says, how is the market? Don't be so ambiguous to say, well, how's the market for you? It's a bad psychological tactic where you take the last thing they say and flip it into a question, and a lot of people get irritated with that. So you could just give a summary and say, gosh, you know what, the market in certain segments of the market is outstanding. Right now the luxury market is on fire, and the move-up market is also on fire, but there's some issues with affordability because house payments have doubled in the last 2 years. So it just sort of depends. And then I'd follow up with a question, where do you fit in the market? Oh, geez, I don't know. I was just curious. Maybe I'm thinking about buying a second home, and you're off to the races. The number one thing that a buyer's agent can do to establish value in the market is to be a product expert. Now, not just product expert around real estate, but what are the other concerns that buyers have? Well, they've got some concerns around money sometimes, right? Costs money to buy a house. How important as a buyer's agent would it be for you to understand a heck of a lot more about mortgage and mortgage process and underwriting and loan programs? Now, I appreciate the fact that you're not a mortgage person, or maybe you are a mortgage person, but at the end of the day, you need to have a very skilled working understanding of how money works when it comes to buying a home. You have to. If you can't position yourself as a subject matter expert, what value are you bringing to the market? A lot of realtors wing it. Don't wing it. I want you to take the time that's necessary as a buyer's agent to figure out the things you need to figure out. I need you in the MLS for at least 30 minutes a day, every single working day, understanding and studying. What am I studying? I'm looking at how many days on market is the average home sitting. What's the inventory look like? How many pending are there? How many homes went under contract? Are prices trending up? Are prices flat? Are prices trending down? If I take a look at the list price divided by the actual sales price, what's that percentage? Are homes selling at 100% of list value? Are they selling at 105% of list value? Are they selling at 95% of list value? Why is this important? Because when you get into a discussion with a buyer and that buyer wants to write an offer, and they want to write an offer that might seem a little bit ridiculously inappropriate, you can just present evidence and say, well, homes that are selling in this market are selling at about 97% of their list value. And it seems like that's happened here probably in the last 6 or 7 transactions in your market. So I think that if we try to go 10% below the list price, that might be a little aggressive. Now, I'm not defending a position. I'm educating this person when it comes time to write the offer. Why? I'm a subject matter expert. I'm a SME. I'm a subject matter expert. And if I can't establish that in the market, being a buyer's agent, why would a buyer trust me to help them? Okay. So as a buyer's agent, your unique value proposition is you're an expert in the product, which is real estate. You're also somewhat of an expert, or you develop an expertise or an expert vocabulary around mortgage. What's the next thing you need to do as a buyer's agent? You need to understand that paperwork like the back of your hand, paperwork and process. You need to be able to tell your customer / client, say, gosh, here are the steps that we're going to go through. I'm going to help you through in order for you to move into your next home. And then you simply lay those things out. It's very methodical. You remind them of that process and that system that you are in on a regular basis. The number one reason that buyers start getting a little bit apprehensive, or they start falling off in their interest level at different points in the process, if it's pre-contract, pre-offer and acceptance, then that's a set of circumstances that they're not getting the information they need from you, or it's not in alignment with their expectations. If their interest level starts falling off after the contract, and a lot of times this has to do with they don't understand what's happening, and they might be a little embarrassed because they don't actually want to ask you what's happening, or the higher likelihood is you might not be communicating with them effectively enough so that they understand what's happening. What do you offer in terms of value as a buyer's agent? Subject matter expert. You're studying the MLS. You understand finance, and you're an expert in the buying process, and you can convey all those things to your client. Okay, number 2, establishing your unique value proposition as a seller's agent or as a listing agent. So kind of like the buyer's agent, your store is virtual, but your store is actually a little bit more brick and mortar. You actually have a listing. You have a place of business. What's the number one way that stores drive traffic in order to create sales? Marketing. Go figure. So listing agents have to be marketing specialists. They have to be marketing specialists, whereas the buyer's agent has to be a sales process specialist. The listing agent has to be a marketing expert. Here's why. Because the more eyes that you can get on a property, it's going to drive more traffic. You might get multiple offer situation, and it's going to drive that price up to the highest possible market valuation that the market is going to deliver at any time. If you're a listing agent and you're not really good at marketing, you're going to have an issue. Is it important to understand marketing as a buyer's agent? Yeah, but that's mostly branding so that you're driving traffic so that you can get leads for the most part. As a listing agent, you have to demonstrate your ability to a client that you can promote that house better than anybody else in the market so that you're going to drive maximum traffic, maximum showings, and drive the price up, hopefully in a multiple offer situation. Now, if you're a marketing expert, you're going to have to be able to demonstrate the fact that you're a marketing expert. So when you go on your listing presentation, you're going to have to show examples of your past success, and not just in the abstract. I want physical, tangible evidence that you're able to do certain things. And you're going to hand someone a marketing plan, and you're going to develop your own marketing plan, and it's going to have 15 or 20 or 30 items on it, and they're going to be in a sequence. As soon as we take your listing, here are the first things we do. We make sure you've got appropriate staging. Why? Because we want excellent photography. Why do we want excellent photography? Because a picture paints 1,000 words. A picture paints 1,000 words. A picture, that's wrong. What the hell does that mean? So, you want great photography because this is going to have a much higher impact on the general public than anything else. You have to make sure that when you write the comments in the MLS section that they're incredibly well thought out and very compelling. And so you want to pull that seller, that owner into your process. You want to pull them into your marketing process. You want to pull them into your thinking around promotion. You're going to show them social media posts that you do. You're going to show them the postcards of just listed and just sold that you always use when you take a listing. You're going to show them that you're an expert in EDDM, every door direct mail. So what are the 10 or the 15 things that you're doing to promote listings on a regular basis, or that you should be doing on a regular basis? I want you to literally just go through that list, because you need to demonstrate your expertise to your client that nobody can promote their home better than you can promote their home. And the argument remains the same. The more people that see your property, the more people are going to be interested in your property. The number of showings goes up. When the number of showings goes up in a shorter time frame, you possibly are going to get more than one or two or several people interested in the home at the same time. Multiple offers are going to drive valuation. For gosh sakes, you need to be able to prove this over and over and over and over and over again. You need to live it and breathe it. So as a listing agent, if you're not comfortable in this space, then you have to do the first things first. You have to go ahead and make your first marketing plan. Make a list of all the ways that you would promote a home for sale, that you would get maximum exposure on a house. So is it just putting it in the MLS? Well, before you put it in the MLS, you do have to go through the photography and the staging and the syndicated remarks and all this other stuff. Write it down so that you can show someone there is a discipline and there is a process behind what we do. Here's how we achieve maximum value for your property. Here's how I establish my value for you. My value is to get as many eyes on your home as possible. Why is this so important as a listing agent? Because you're going to come up against some obstacles and some objections when this person wants to list their house. One of them is they might want to list the price higher than market alignment. And the other is you're eventually probably going to have to defend your commission. If you're charging a full commission and you're not demonstrating that you're giving full level of service, here's the minimum standard of full service that with every listing. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million, $10 million home. It doesn't matter if it's $500,000 or $150,000. Here's the process we engage in every single time to maximize value. You're a subject matter expert in marketing. Listing agents are marketing people. Buyer's agents are salespeople. Now you get a little bit of crossover in both, but the value that you're going to present to the market as a listing agent is your promotion. Promote. This is normally why large listing teams are so good with their branding, because they're already advertising. So just like advertising a listing, they're very comfortable advertising themselves, advertising a listing, advertising themselves. People see their professional branding and like, oh gosh, this team is all over the place. They're doing business all over town. May or may not be the truth, but the discipline that they have acquired through telling a story and telling it loud and putting it out there has taken them to a point where they're starting to, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you start putting out there, the more people you connect with, the more success you get. And then all of a sudden, it's a story that takes on a life of its own. And this is what happens with the large branded teams across the country. They go from doing 20 or 30, listings, all of a sudden, within a couple of years, they're up to a couple hundred, few hundred listings every year. It's a snowball effect. If you master this, a subject matter expert in marketing, you're going to be able to sit at someone's dinner table in their living room and say, here's how we do it. It's tried and true. Here's how we always do it. Here's the steps of our process in our marketing. Here's how we drive maximum value for your house. It's not an accident, and it just sets people up for a really simple signature. They're going to sign because they believe you. You've demonstrated the fact that you can promote their house. You're an expert in marketing, and you even go through and just explain the difference. Well, I'm not a buyer's agent predominantly, and here's why. I know the person you bought your house from. You might want to list your house with that person, but I'm a listing agent. That person helped you as a buyer's agent, and here's why it's probably better to list your home with a listing agent. You're handling objections. Your core valuation is your promotions. Okay, a couple more years go by, and you're a successful buyer's agent, and then you've been a very successful listing agent, and now you start adding team members to your team. And so what is your unique value proposition as a leader or a broker owner? I would submit for your consideration, it's a combination of being a great buyer's agent and a great seller's agent, and more importantly, you've developed those skill sets at such a mastery that you're able to now teach those things to an agent who might be attracted to join your team or join your brokerage. Think about that for a second. How many brokers are out there, and how many managers and team leaders are out there recruiting people and just, have them sign up paperwork, and it's a puppy mill. They just shove a bunch of people into their brokerage, and they're not really delivering value. They're not delivering on their promise. What is the unique value proposition that a broker owner leader has in the market? They're educators. They're helping that agent that they've identified to say, gosh, you know what? I've seen your numbers, and I see that I'm absolutely confident that if you were to come and work in our organization, that we'd be able to double your business. We might be able to double your business in 6 months. Maybe it'll take 12 months or 18 months. It kind of depends on your commitment. But when I take a look at what you're currently doing in the market, I see some areas that I know that we can improve. And you're going to be able to speak with authority because you're already a successful listing agent. You're already a successful buyer's agent. When somebody takes a look at your success, all you have to do is, it's basically a listing presentation all over again. You want to list out the core reasons why you're more successful than other brokerages in town. And that success doesn't always have to be numbers. That success is all about your core value proposition, and it's about your core values. So as a broker owner, I've had some pretty big numbers in the past, but what I've really been able to do is attract people because I can help them take their company and develop it, take their business and help them double it. So there might be a lot of brokers out there who say, well, if you join up with me, we're going to help you, double your business. And then the simple question is why? Like, if you can't demonstrate the fact that you can do that through better systems, better processes, better marketing, better lead generation, better scripts, we have better checklists. We have people who take care of our paperwork. If you outsource your transaction management, you're going to take that and you're going to say, here's why this is a more efficient process. It's going to free you up to do more prospecting and to have more appointments. Why? Because you're not going to have to worry about your paperwork as much. And here's what we do. Boom, boom, boom. Again, you have to provide evidence. Why is this so important? Because there's a lot of agents out there who need help. Gosh, I think there's like 1,300,000, 1,200,000 realtors in the country right now. And how many of them are actually really productive? Maybe 10%, maybe 20%. Here's the core message. It's not just good enough for you to be a brilliant listing agent or a brilliant buyer's agent. You have to take and systematize and make sure that you have process and system around those disciplines. And your message, your value proposition as a leader is being able to put that out there so that when you approach a realtor or someone that you want on your team, there's evidence, and you start driving a culture. You start creating a culture out of this package of evidence. When somebody comes here, most people end up doubling their business within 12 months. And you can have testimonies. You can have other agents. For gosh sakes, if I was an agent and I doubled my business and I had a manager or a broker who really helped me do that, I wouldn't keep it a secret. I would tell other agents about it. I'd be more than proud to give a testimony about, you know what, I learned some new things in this environment, and look what happened as a result of that. I went from a $3 million to an $8 million producer. I went from $8 million to $15 million. Does this happen? It absolutely does happen. What is your unique value proposition as a leader, broker, owner? You have to prove that you've got good system, good process, and that you're a compassionate person who will take the time necessary to pour into other people's businesses. This is the message. And it's an integrity-based message. I've dealt with lots of brokers and lots of owners who are out there just signing people up so they can get fees, and they can say, well, we have more agents than anybody else. That's like Walmart saying they've got more toilet paper than we have more toilet paper than anyone else in the market. But what's the value? What is the value to the consumer? And in this case, the consumer is the agent. It's the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. One of the disciplines that I love with Leader is that they are also in the MLS for 30 minutes every day. Now, when we come full circle, why would a broker owner, leader, be studying the MLS for 30 minutes every day? Because just like a buyer's agent needs to demonstrate their market expertise to a potential buyer, a team leader has to demonstrate their knowledge of the market to a potential realtor that they might be bringing to their team. How would it feel if you're sitting with a broker owner who's, they're not doing transactions any longer, and, they're maybe out of touch of the marketplace a little bit. And so you ask them a question. You're like, what do you think is going to happen in the market? And the broker owner says, well, it's never been a better time. Never been a better time to buy a house. Well, for gosh sakes, there's a simple theory around being able to give something. You can't give something if you yourself don't possess it. So as a broker owner, you need to loop back around and engage in both the disciplines associated with buyer's agent and listing agent. But the key is to serialize that. You need to make a system and a process that you can replicate, that you can bring other people into that understanding, people who want to grow their businesses. It's really easy to recruit agents. You can fill your brokerage with as many agents as you can possibly handle. The problem is there's a lot of people out there that want to fill their team with more people than they can handle because they can no longer deliver on the promise. And the promises that you make when you're recruiting, for gosh sakes, it's a measure of integrity. As a broker, owner, manager, get in the MLS 30 minutes every day. What are you looking for? You're going to be seeing transactions. Go to the closed transactions. Who's doing business in the area that you want to expand your territory? Who are they working for? And take a look, take a map of their last 5 years of transactions. If it looks like they're mostly consolidated in one place, they're predominantly a listing agent and they're doing some territory management or some farming in a specific area. If it's an agent who's getting a lot of Zillow leads, you can kind of tell, because if you take a look at their last 3 or 5 years of production and you map it, they got a buy side here and a buy side over here and a buy side down here and a buy side all over the place. Their business is not centralized, and probably it's a great way to approach that agent and say, gosh, I noticed, congratulations on your success. You've had 20 buy side transactions this year. I noticed that you're a little bit light on the listings. Would you like to add a listing component to your business and maybe stop this noise and stop the running around a little bit? I appreciate you're a hard worker. It's evident. But here's the next steps for you. If they're a listing agent and they're predominantly getting a bunch of people in one area, and eventually they're going to reach a point, you get to 20 25, 30 transactions, they're going to have to add an assistant. They're going to have to add a team member. Maybe they bring in a buyer's agent. Do they know how to do that? Maybe not. Maybe they're a great listing agent, but they don't have much management experience, or they're a great listing agent and they can do system and process around promoting a listing. But when it comes time to bring in a team member and coach that team member and train that team member in system and process, checklist, and scripts, preferred dialogue, all these things, that's a huge additional dimension that as a broker owner, I can bring to a listing agent to provide value. Makes sense. Not brain surgery. Here's the summary. What are we doing in the market in terms of adding value, and who is our customer? If we're a buyer's agent, our customers are home buyers. If we're a seller's agent or a listing agent, it's someone who is selling their home. And if you're a team lead or a broker owner, it's the agents that work for you. What value are you driving so that they can maximize the expansion of their company through system and process? Please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, visit our website and schedule your free 30-minute evaluation.